The proper place to start today's show has to do with a proverb that I referenced earlier in the week, and that is that in a lawsuit, the first to speak seems right until someone comes forward and cross-examines. Folks, on Saturday, we had a cross-examination. First of all, I'm not quite sure that the House managers convinced the United States Senate. In fact, I'm pretty sure they did not make their case to the extent where they were anywhere close to the 67 votes it would take to convict and remove the president. But on Saturday, folks, the president's legal defense team had their opportunity to present a cross-examination.
In his summation on Thursday night, Manager Schiff complained that the president chose not to go with the determination of his intelligence agencies regarding foreign interference and instead decided that he would listen to people that he trusted and he would inquire about the Ukraine issue himself. Mr. Schiff did not like the fact that the president did not apparently blindly trust some of the advice he was being given by the intelligence agencies. First of all, let me be clear. Disagreeing with the president's decision on foreign policy matters or whose advice he's going to take is in no way an impeachable offense.
This was day one of the president's legal defense team's presentation to the United States Senate. The United States Senate reached consent, folks, to come into session a little bit early at 10 o'clock and to have a truncated version. And it ended up being just over 2 hours for the president's team to start presenting their case. Now, they still get a total of up to 24 hours, and they can use up to 3 session days. So they still have approximately 22 hours remaining, and they can divide that between today and tomorrow.
What you saw Saturday was the president's defense team very calmly, very methodically going through and taking apart those arguments one by one. And because there was so much repetition in what the Democrats had presented in almost 24 hours, it was interesting to watch Jay and Sekulow take that apart step by step, and to do it in less than 3 hours.
You can't look at these things in a vacuum. If you're going to try to get into the mind of the president, which, look, is probably not appropriate for House managers to do, but if you're going to do that, you need to understand the context in which he's making decisions and who he might be trusting. So Jay started off with this right off the bat.
Let me begin by saying that you cannot simply decide this case in a vacuum. Mr. Schiff said yesterday, I believe it was his father who said, you should put yourself in someone else's shoes. Let's for a moment put ourselves in the shoes of the President of the United States right now. Before he was sworn into office, he was subjected to an investigation by the Federal Bureau of Investigation called Crossfire Hurricane. The President, within 6 months of his inauguration, found a special counsel being appointed to investigate a Russia collusion theory. In their opening statement, several members of the House managers tried to once again relitigate the Mueller case. Here's the bottom line. This is part one of the Mueller report. This part alone is 199 pages. The House managers in the presentation a couple of times referenced this for that. Let me tell you something. This cost $32 million. This investigation took 2,800 subpoenas. This investigation had 500 search warrants. This had 230 orders for communication records. This had 500 witness interviews. All to reach the following conclusion. And I'm going to quote from the Mueller report itself. It can be found on page 173. As it relates to this whole matter of collusion and conspiracy. Ultimately, these are the words of Bob Mueller in his report, this investigation did not establish that the campaign coordinated or conspired with the Russian government in its election interference activities. Let me say that again. The Mueller report, resulted in this. That for this. Ultimately, the investigation did not establish that the campaign coordinated or conspired with the Russian government in its election-related interference activities. This for that.
In my view, as I watched these proceedings on Saturday, I thought the tenor shifted at the very end of Chairman Schiff's presentation. It certainly shifted on Saturday.
There's always going to be new information. Today we've got a great team, a great lineup, and we appreciate, of course, everybody's prayers as we are there. I'm right outside the Senate chamber right now as we prepare for this. So we just appreciate all of your prayers out there. Be praying for us. Be praying for the White House team. And be praying for everybody who's working behind the scenes on this and who's going to be speaking today. Just pray for everybody. And, we're doing the right thing for the right president.